morning or afternoon or whatever time it is that you're watching this. It is 11:11, so perfect time to start podcasting. My name is Haley. I am a tattooer, crafter, knitter, spinner, sewer, whatever you want to call it, from Wilkes-Barre, PA in the United States. This is episode 1 of the Lochknits podcast. If you're watching this and I am a familiar face to you from other podcasts on YouTube, I will touch on that in the admin portion at the end of the episode. So if you don't give a hoot, you don't have to watch it. This is the first episode. I think I've got pretty good setup, pretty good lighting, it seems. My hair looks nice, my skin looks nice, so I'll take it. But I just got all moved in. I actually just moved from my own apartment right outside of Wilkes-Barre in with my boyfriend and his daughters in Wilkes-Barre proper. It has been such a crazy, busy week, and it wouldn't be me if I didn't add to the pile here. But I figured I needed to film episode 1 post Rhinebeck. I tried to film it before Rhinebeck. It was a disaster. I'm used to podcasting with at least one other human being, and as you can tell, I'm solo now, which is just fine. And yeah, I'm ready to just get started. This is a usual, standard, regular knitting podcast. Other crafts will be involved, you know. I'm gonna do my best to do the little, I don't even know what it's called, like the little separating of, not time cards, you know what I'm talking about. I hope to be able to kind of separate the episode into sections so that as you're scrolling across on YouTube, if there's a part that you couldn't care less about, then that's just fine and you can skip past it. But please excuse technical issues, audio issues for like the first episode. Keep in mind this is a free program and I'm just out here doing my best. So let's get into it. You guys know the drill. Knitting podcast, what you're wearing, what you finished. I left my FO at my other apartment anyway, so mostly this video is gonna be about all the admin stuff at the end, some post Rhinebeck talk. I'm gonna throw in some Rhinebeck clips from the festival and the pre-events from Rhinebeck, but that'll all be at the end of the episode so that if you're tired of Rhinebeck videos, you don't have to watch it. But yeah, let's get started with what I'm wearing. I'm so glad I waited to podcast for my first episode because look at the fit. Oh, I just love it. Let me do a little stand up here. So I went to the Rhinebeck Festival on Saturday, and before I went to Rhinebeck on Saturday, I had gone to Cakepalooza on Friday, and we were there all day. My best friend Brienne, who is moon_and_yarn, she has the Moon and Yarn craft room, her yarn store, and she just got these new sweatshirts made. They are so beautiful. Like, not only are they beautiful, the design is so cute. Even if you've never been to her yarn store, like, please, you need one of these. They're so cute. The little yarn ball, Moon yarn, love it. She recently had these sweatshirts made just in time for Cakepalooza, and she does have them available for sale on her website. Because she just opened her yarn store earlier this year, she's been working on the website component of the yarn shop so that in the future, you will be able to shop everything that's at her store on her website, and she does have a good bit of stuff available on her website right now. I know these shirts are on there. She's got a ton of sale yarn from the summer season that she's trying to move past to get in new stock and everything. So if you are an online shopper or you just want to support Brienne any way you can, visit her online store. I will have all the links in the description box below. I will say this crew neck is so softy. Brie does not skimp out at all, like literally at all, on the quality of the products, especially when it comes to merch and everything that she has. So if you like the design, you will love the fit and just the softness of everything. Just for reference, I think this is always important to mention, I'm wearing a medium. I wanted it like oversized, and it seems to have a narrow fit kind of around the sleeves and around the hem and everything. So if you want it oversized, get a size up, get 2 sizes up. No wrong choices. It's just like peak premium comfort. It is so nice. So that is what I'm wearing. No knit outfits today. I actually just got most of my knits put away in the closet. So next episode and moving forward, I love having a good knit outfit to show off on the podcast. But yeah, Sport and Brie, Moon and Yarn Craft Room, #1 yarn store ever. I don't have any finished objects that are yarn related. So my first, no. I have 4 finished objects, no, 3 finished objects in total. I can't count. 3 finished objects in total. These are actually only quilt projects. I just learned to quilt, sort of self-taught, I would say. I did some learning, messing around with the craft and everything with my friend Sock, who is at Misfit Sock on Instagram, and she and I have been on this quilting journey all year, and I've definitely taken a break from quilting over the summer. My old sewing room in my apartment was not air conditioned. It was so warm. There was just fabric everywhere. I don't personally feel very motivated to run an iron when I'm really hot and I'm trying to sew and press and all that stuff. So I took a good break from quilting over the summer, and it's just completely come back with a vengeance, which is good. And I'm really feeling it this year. So I have a couple finished objects here to show you now. The first finished objects, speaking of Sock, these are for Sock. She is perfect. Whatever knit worthy is, take that like a step above. Like, she is so craft worthy. Just anything I make, like, she's so supportive. She wears everything I make her. She sends me pictures of her using or wearing stuff that I've made. So she's just one of my favorite people to craft for, and I'm a big compulsive gift crafter, gift knitter, and I love making stuff and then sending it on its way. So I actually bought my first jelly rolls in the last month or so, and they sat in my stash for a couple of weeks. I got the jelly rolls and I was so inspired. I was like, these are so beautiful. I love that I don't have to put the color combos together, and these seem very intuitive and like they make a lot of sense together. And if you've ever done any sort of quilting before, you know that the concept of trying to pair fabrics together it can be very difficult. A lot of times it's really fun and inspiring. I do a lot of like scrap projects that I'll show you too, but it was nice to have something that was more planned and more intentional and cohesive. And I'm finally at the point in the quilting journey where I am ready to level up a little bit and kind of start spending a little more money on like better, more high quality fabrics and stuff. So I got my first jelly rolls and I wanted to make something for Sock. So I made her these 2 little placemats. Aren't these just cute? So pretty basic. I mean, like, just a rectangle. I've actually heard for the first time the term mini quilts before, which I think is really cute and special. And this reminds me of like a little mini quilt, little sampler. I've never made placemats before, but I mean, it's just a rectangle, 2 rectangles. And Sock recently just moved also, and she got a new apartment with a like absolutely stunning, modern, like brand new kitchen. And at the kitchen island, there's like a little bar area where there's 2 stools. Her and her boyfriend Ian live together, and she's very into homemaking, like the real like cozy home cooked vibe. She's a fantastic cook and everything. So I thought the 2 little placemats for her and Ian to have at the bar would be so fun. So let me tell you a little bit about these jelly rolls. This particular set of jelly rolls is not any less interesting just because they came from a Joann Fabrics, but they are not any kind of like high quality fabrics or anything like that, not from a fabric store. So all of the batik fabrics, I think I'm saying that right, is batik, right? I actually just Googled the phrase, why is batik so special? Which apparently is like a phrase that other people have Googled as well before, because the answer came right up. And I learned a little bit about like how the fabric is made and everything, and the prints and everything. So I did get these special batik fabrics, all of the like color ones here. Let me see if I can, yeah, that's nice. So it was a Halloween batik set. So there's some like spooky cats, spider web, moon, trees, ghosties. Oh, these are just so cute. Little bones at the bottom. And then the second jelly roll I got was actually what I believe to be like a half jelly roll. So it's 20 strips instead of the 40. And that's the solid black and gray ones here with the different patterns on them. Both of them came from Joann Fabrics. I wanted coordinating jelly rolls, but maybe not like too matchy. So I really like the way this turned out. I think they're so pretty and fun. Like just the little, you know, pops of black that kind of fall to the background, and they really let like the patterns do the talking. So I've got 2 here. These ended up being, I'm pretty sure 11 by 14. I think that sounds about right, but other than that, they're just some patchwork goodness. I did some extraordinarily plain, oh, there's like fuzz and stuff. Extraordinarily plain black fabric on the back, and then I got this fun little print here for the binding. I recently was on Reddit. I'm a big Reddit user. And the quilting Reddit, if you are on Reddit and you're interested in seeing more like craft content, even if you don't quilt, I think it is just beautiful to look at. And one of the topics that someone brought up was, what are some fabrics that you buy in a jelly roll versus like buying by the yardage, I think is the proper term for buying in bulk, like fabrics that you're gonna use a lot. And I've actually bought this or some version of this fabric before, and I recently went back to Joann Fabrics and I think I got like 3 yards of this. Which 3 yards is like a lot for me. I usually get like half yard or 1 yard or whatever, but this like black print with the little stars on it, I just think is so sweet. It's very cute. And that fabric I think it just has like a look about it that maybe looks a little more high quality, like something you would find at a fabric store. It just has like a certain look to it. You know how if you go to Joann Fabrics or Michael's and you see fabric that like looks a little like hokey, or like this is definitely like mainstream craft store fabric, I think it definitely has a place. I have a ton of that fabric myself, but I do like the sort of elevated look of like these more minimal prints. But yeah, I'm so proud of these. I love the way they turned out. I just did some like plaid quilting, I guess. It's not perfectly even. I guess you could see it better from the back. So I just kind of did like more wide set panels in the middle, and then more like clustered panels of just straight stitching, and then I think 1 line for each block. I don't know, I kind of like black out whenever I quilt, and I'm like, what, by any means necessary, whatever looks cute. So that's a lot of words about 2 little placemats, but honestly, I love them. I think they're so cute and fun. I definitely want to make more, and I actually finished these and showed them to Nate as soon as I was done, and he said, I would love some placemats for us. And I was like, oh, I love that, say less. So finished objects, these are cute, fun little quilts. Little afternoon evening project. And my second finished object is a lot bigger, but I would say a lot more haphazard in a good way. I am drinking coffee this morning. I don't even know like what cup of coffee this is, out of my Eaton Park mug that one of my best friends, Megan, who is a Rainbow Cake Cat, she's a yarn dyer, and I have more to talk about her later in the episode, but as my going away present, she was one of my best clients, and she would always show up at tattoo appointments with some sort of gift, hand spun yarn, hand dyed yarn, like just the most gorgeous stuff. And as part of my going away present, she got me an Eaton Park mug. All of my clients asked in horror when I moved from Pittsburgh to Wilkes-Barre, which is about 4 hours away, do they have Eaton Parks there? And the answer is no, they don't. If you've never been to an Eaton Park, it is just a diner chain in and around Pittsburgh and in Pennsylvania, and it is just top tier diner goodness. And speaking of Megan, Rainbow Cake Cat, I guess I'm gonna end up talking about her a lot this episode. I was thinking about Megan as I was doing this crazy scrap project, and as soon as I started putting a couple pieces of fabric together, I was like, you know what? I've gotten so many beautiful handmade things for Megan. The least I could do is make something to send back to her. So Megan, if you're watching this and you haven't already received this in the mail, this is for you. I made a throw quilt out of some scrap fabrics that I had that were a little more, like I said, a little more planned. I've made a lot of patchwork stuff where every single block is different, and that's kind of like the goal of it. This quilt block is super easy. I just learned how to make this on YouTube. It is, oh God, it has a name. I'll try to put it in the link below, but I found a tutorial that was just like, here's the easiest quilt block in the world that's remotely interesting. And here she is. I'm gonna try to get some like really good FO pictures of this today because my lighting's all wonky, and it's a pretty big throw quilt. I think it ended up being maybe like 55 by 70-ish. It's really nice and snuggly, and Megan is even shorter than I am, so this should be perfect for her. But this block is comprised of 4 fabric prints. You can do 2 at a minimum, and I think 4 is the max. I'm pretty sure. I don't know how you do more than that, but 4 fabric prints, and you start off with all the same size square. Take 2 squares, sew them diagonally. Basically, long story short, you do that 2 times, cut them in half, then you put those 2 halves together, and bing, bang, boom. There you go. But it's super easy, and the nice thing about this block is you start with all the same size squares, so you can just cut a bunch of the same squares like en masse, and however many of those squares you start with is how many you end up with. So I think for every color, I kind of grouped these by color. You can see like orange, red, black and gray, pink. There's a bunch of different stuff in here, but basically I just pulled a bunch of fabrics that I liked the look of together, sewed them up per the pattern, and I have a very like patchwork quilt. It's definitely like crazy looking and like rainbow and everything, but there is some sort of like cohesiveness to it, and I like that. So this is the front. I did some like really vague light quilting, or I just, you know, do whatever the block speaks to me. So some vague quilting here. I have no idea how much you're realistically going to be able to see this, but one of my new ventures in quilting, as I'm feeling a little more confident with it, is this thread, and the thread is rainbow, and it changes color slowly as you sew with it. So you can see that there's green at the top, red in there. It's definitely something that's easier to notice as you're looking at it, holding the object in your hands, but it's just a nice fun little touch, and kind of goes with the scrappy vibe of it. So that's the front, and then the back is just some cotton that I had in my stash. I do like to sort of collect or hoard those little wrapped up panels of fabric that come in increments of like 1 or 2 yards. And when they're on sale, I'll just grab them with the intention of using them for lining and project bags, or, you know, for backing or whatever. So I just had this lying around, and I thought it was so beautiful. I've actually kind of been hesitant to use this fabric for anything because it's so pretty. I just love the color, and I think that all the leftovers that I have of this fabric will make some really good, like, coordinated pieces for another quilt. So I have some inspiration after using it. But this is the backing, and then so exciting too, I am like scrap queen. I love scrap projects, yarn, fabric, fiber, like literally whatever. I love scrap bits, and I find them like so inspiring and everything. So the binding is also scrappy. I've seen scrappy binding in other people's Pinterest posts, Instagram posts and things like that, and I knew it was possible, but it was just something that I hadn't like found the right project for, and this was definitely it. So I'm gonna take you through just a little bit of my scrap binding. I do machine binding just because I'm a modern woman and I have places to be, and I'm not very good at hand binding. I remember doing hand binding on quilts in college, and it just like not my skill set. I'm way more of my top stitching is way better than my hand stitching, and the poking and getting like my blood on projects just like doesn't appeal to me. So we've got some like crazy, there's little skulls, leopard. I just love the way this stuff like works together, and I feel like if you're this far into like a crazy quilt like this, who cares if the binding is like all weird and wild and over the place. So that was a lot of new stuff in a quilt. I'm very proud of how this came together. This was a total result of like a manic crafting episode. I ended up starting this, I'm pretty sure I finished this quilt in like 24 hours. And I don't say that as like some weird capitalist measure of production or whatever, but just to say that it was fast. If you like this quilt block and you want to just have like a gnarly day of like putting stuff together, throwing fabric around and stuff, it just came together so quickly and I just like could not put it down. So yeah, just a fun little project. But as soon as I started putting these panels together, I was like, I bet Megan would love this. And like I said, she was long overdue for a gift anyway, so it worked out great. I have a whip, oh, here it is, that I think is pretty inconsequential, but I will just share it anyway because the yarn is yarn I've been excited to work with. It's been in my stash for a minute. It is a Ripple bralette by Jessie May Designs. If you've been like alive and knitting in the last 5 years, like I think it came out a while ago, but the Ripple bralette is like an absolute staple for just like anyone who wants a good layering piece. And this is all I have right now. So not terribly exciting by any stretch. It's twisted rib. There's like 3/4 of an inch of it. Not that exciting, but I am excited about this project in particular. I've made so many of these, and for someone who's made so many of them, I literally do not possess one that I've made. They've all gone to the donation store. I made some many years ago when I was like a much different size than I am now, so they didn't fit that well. I've just like experimented with a lot of different sizes, gauges for this project. Like this project is something that I can see the light with. Like once I figure out my formula of like consistent sizing, a good gauge that's comfortable to knit with and then also to wear, something that's going to be machine wash and dryable and not scratchy. Like this is like the most next to skin that you're going to get on a project. It's literally like straight on your chest. So I've had a bunch of iterations of this and they look good. Some of them don't feel good. A lot of them just straight up didn't fit. So I am knitting the size 2, which I've knit a lot of in the past, but I've never measured the gauge for this project, and that actually is pretty out of the ordinary for me. I'm a big like gauge swatcher. I like to do gauge swatches. I like believe that the time I spend on a gauge swatch is well worth investing in the time to do that versus not having a project that fits like at the end of the whole thing. So I am a big gauge swatcher. I do not gauge swatch for this project because it's all rib, and I find like the ribbing gauge swatches that she lists in the pattern to be like very ambiguous and like confusing, and it's like stretch it a little bit and if it fits 4 inches then you're good, and like I just don't even mess with that. And for me, these pieces are layering pieces. Like I'm gonna wear them under clothes, so it's more important for me to get a fabric and a knitting experience that I like more so than to like meet the gauge. So on one hand, it's totally my fault that none of these worked out, but on the other hand, I'm on the cusp. I'm on the cusp of making it happen. So this yarn is a new endeavor for me as it relates to the Ripple bralette. So I'm knitting this out of 100% cotton, and all of my past experiences with this project have been with some sort of wool or like superwash wool. I've never knit one out of like just straight cotton yarn. So this yarn is Millimia, Sweden. It says 100% naturally soft cotton, so that's cool. The colorway is just whatever black they have, or whatever they're calling black. But Sock gave this to me. She had started a project with it, I think frogged the project. I ended up having a bunch of, like, there's even more inside the project bag, but I have a bunch of little tiny balls of yarn and then 2 full-size ones. So I was excited to have a cotton bralette out of this, and if I like it, I have plenty of yarn left over to make more. So I'm just working through the ribbing right now. Once you're through the twisted rib, it's a bottom-up piece, so you get through the twisted rib and then you work on the body, which is pretty sure a 3x3 rib, I think. But it's a really enjoyable project. I like ribbing projects, like ribbed hats and stuff like that, for a little bit of interest, like while I'm TV knitting or watching podcasts or like whatever. Car knitting, this is perfect car knitting. So I'm excited to have that. This is in my project bag that Sock also made for me like last year, 2 years ago. It's just really sweet, really nice, cute little guy. So that's my only whip. It's not very interesting. I hope by the next time I podcast it's done. That would be pretty nice. I have high hopes for this. The knitting experience so far is really great. I love the idea of having a cotton, like stretchy, accommodating, just like a smooth layer that I can throw like under, you know, stuff like this, or like knitted sweaters or whatever. So hopefully this is the one that works out. Crossing my fingers. So the last little bit of what I have is stash. If you're not interested in that, I cannot empathize with you. I absolutely love whenever people show off like things that they've bought, or like interesting colorways, or, you know, like stuff that speaks to that. Like, I think that that's fun. If you don't like that and you don't want to stick around for like Rhinebeck and all the admin stuff, then I think that's all I got for you. If you do want to see what I got at Rhinebeck and Cakepalooza, stick around. So we did Cakepalooza on Friday, the Friday of Rhinebeck weekend, and Cakepalooza is held in Saugerties, New York, I'm pretty sure. The Cake Wool Company has sort of a, I think it's like a workshop space. She has a giant building. Whoever runs that yarn company has like a giant building with an even more giant parking lot outside of it. And basically there's a bunch of vendor booths that pop up around the whole front of the parking lot. There's a driveway situation kind of around the building, and then the entire back lot as well. So there's a lot of space and it's really nice. You have already heard, I'm sure, that it was raining during Rhinebeck weekend, and like that sucked. It sucked really bad. It definitely like presented its own challenges as we were just hanging around all weekend. I knocked a lot of yarn into mud. I'm very like clumsy and like not spatially aware most of the time. Like, that was gnarly. But I have been to Cakepalooza in the past when it's not raining. It was actually like a million degrees a few years ago whenever we went, and the space is really nice. There's a fantastic collection of vendors and everything that usually attend that event, and Brienne was lucky enough to vend at it as a yarn store owner this year. So I rapid fire sewed her a bunch of project bags, and we stocked up on those. She had yarn from a lot of local Pittsburgh people whose yarn she carries in her store all the time. She had her merch, she had bats, she had spinning stuff, like just so beautiful. If I have any of that like footage of her booth and everything, I will have inserted it while I am talking about it. But Brienne's booth is always like a must-see. I'm not even biased, like it's really beautiful. So I'll just start with what I got from Brienne's booth while I was there. Oh, first of all, before I even get into what I bought from Brienne's booth, she sent me 6 skeins of this yarn, which I am now realizing probably looks very underwhelming. No, there it is. Look at this honey bunny. So she is so sweet. Brie is like the most generous person I've ever met in my whole life. And she thought of me when she saw this yarn. It is Concept by Katia. It's cotton merino glam. Love it. I am like plant fiber lady. Love it. So this is color 306. It's black. It has, oh, here we go. 46% cotton, 34% wool, 12% polyester, and then 8% polyamide. You would think I would know how to say this word by now, but apparently I don't. So this is some very scrumptious, sumptuous black yarn, just a little bit of sparkle. I haven't looked at the, oh, there it is. I see it now. This is, I think, a blown yarn where it's like almost a tube, a hollow tube. It's very light and airy, sort of like drops. This is so embarrassing. I don't know what it's called. When I think of like blown fuzzy yarn, I think of drops something, I don't know. Ignore me. But it is a blown yarn with a lot of like loft to it. It's pretty stretchy. I think when this knits up, my best guess without looking at Ravelry, which is historically kind of unreliable anyway, this looks to me like a DK weight. Definitely heavier than sport, maybe worsted, I'm not sure. But one skein is 131 yards. So I think I have like almost 800 or 900 yards of this. This could be a love note. Maybe I'll make a ranunculus with this. I don't know. I think that if I knit anything that's very like texture heavy, this does not strike me as something that has a lot of stitch definition, so maybe not. But I have a good bit of it and I'm very excited. This is like my kind of black yarn. Again, like the cotton, I'm just such a huge fan of. I love the sparkle in this. Is so like just gorgeous. Maybe I'll knit a Christmas sweater. I don't know, but I just love it. Brie is so sweet. She just like fully dropped this on me, like such a honey. But thank you, Brianne. You're really sweet. Now, while I was at Brianne's booth, I ended up getting her sweatshirt. That's what I got. I was like, I bought something other than yarn. And I saw one skein. I saw many skeins. Let me just preface that. I saw many skeins. But I saw this one that I thought, if I leave here and I don't have this in my bag, I'm gonna be sad about it. And that's how I make decisions about anything, is if I leave and it's not with me, am I gonna lay in bed that night and think about where it is in the world? This was one of them. So, look at this. Look at this yarn. Maybe, will you focus? Look at this, like absolutely stunning. This is Megan, who is Rainbow Cake Cat. Just, I don't know how to say it. Like, she has the juice, she has the eye. These colors are so gorgeous. It's very reminiscent of this sweatshirt. I love it. I've been going through this like weird single skein phase for probably like the past year or so, where I have a vision to make a almost scrappy or stripy or delicately chaotic sweater out of a bunch of fingering weight single skeins of yarn, and this just like totally spoke to me. I knew as soon as I saw it that I wanted to take it with me. The colorway is called Carnival, which like that totally sold it. I'm usually not even like impacted by colorway names, but like, welcome to the clown show, you know? It felt so me. It's 75-25 superwash merino nylon, 463 yards. Just darling. Like, I just love this. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I love seeing skeins like this out of the hank. I feel like every time I wind a skein of yarn that is like really crazy like this, I'm seriously blown away by like these color stories. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, the yellow and the green in there. It's just so beautiful. This is very like watercolory, but not like depressing. Do you know what I mean? I feel like sometimes the watercolor effect on yarn especially is just like too muted for me personally, and I love like a more vibrant look. I think it looks good like with my complexion, whatever you want to call that. I just think this is going to be like such a beautiful part of this sweater vision that I have in my mind, and I'm so excited to knit with it. So that is Carnival. Love it. Look, it looks even different now that I wrapped it up. By Rainbow Cake Cat. You can get Megan's yarn at Brienne's yarn store. Megan also has an Etsy shop where she sells hand spun yarn. She's a very talented spinner. Just absolutely gorgeous. Love it. Had to have it. Speaking of crazy color ways, the next booth I went to at Cakepalooza was Melanated Boho Bay and Greek Goat Ranch. So Sock and I took a little trip down the parking lot and I had to stop by Amanda's booth. Amanda is Amanda Solomon, Melanated Boho Bay. I love her stuff. I love her style. I love her vibe. She's always easy to find. She's always got some like crazy cardigan on. Her hair is always like so gorgeous. Like she just has such a way about her. I knew instantly that I needed these. Get my dumb face out of there. Look at these honeys. So 2 of the same. This is Melanated Boho Bay, merino and soybean fiber. The colorway is Love and Thunder. It's 4 ounces. This is Amanda's tag. Oh my God, she's so cute. So 2 of the same colorway. They are slightly varied. I mean, like, it's fiber, it's hand dyed. Like, of course it's slightly varied, but one of them, one of them red is more green in the booth. I think this is the one that read more like green to me while I was standing there, and this one definitely had more of like the pink. I have a vision or a notion of spinning these 2-ply where these 2 together is one giant ply, and I have a lot of very plain black merino in my stash, and that would be the other ply, and I would really love a shawl out of this. So something very like high contrast, super barber pole-y. I have been pretty consistent in spinning mostly fingering to sport weight yarn. So I think this would be such a fun shawl project. This strikes me as something that is very like potato chippy to just see like the color blends and everything. And it is more of like this weird like washed out watercolor base with like these vibrant pops above it. Like I'm just absolutely feeling this right now. I've gone down the total rabbit hole of like color analysis and stuff, and I don't think it's like hard and fast, but I feel a little surprised by the stuff that I think looks nice, like with my hair and my eyes and everything. And I just love, like, I don't know, there's something about the pink, purple, teal, these crazy colors. I don't know. If you know anything about color analysis and you think you know what my vibe is, let me know. I think it's very interesting. So yeah, very stoked on spinning these. I'm so happy I'm done moving, because literally all I want to do is sit in the house and just craft stuff. I have no like desire to work or go to the grocery store or do anything. I just want to sit and make shit. I'm very excited about these puppies. Can't wait. Melanated Boho Bay, Green Goat Ranch. Wonderful. So that's all I got from Cakepalooza. It was a very like moderate day. I feel like if I had known what I would see at Rhinebeck, I may have spent more money at Cakepalooza, but you know that feeling of like, I don't want to spend too much money because what if I see something like really fantastic that I can't live without the next day? It's all very confusing. But that's what I got from Cakepalooza. After we had spent most of our day at Cakepalooza, we ended up, I think we were talking about the tote bags or something. If you haven't seen the Indie Untangled tote bags, I will put a picture of them right here. They were so stinking cute. And we're talking about the Indie Untangled tote bags. It was an event that was happening simultaneously, like with Cake, or at the same time as Cake, just like 6 minutes down the road. And we've been there in past years and it's been like a blast. 100% recommend Cakepalooza and Indie Untangled if you're looking for like pre-Rhinebeck events. So we actually saw from 2:30 to 4, there were still tickets available for Indie Untangled. So the way that the tickets were priced is that the earlier times, basically like the first slot of the day was like 35 bucks to get in or something, and then the price is lowered with each time slot. And we didn't even have any intentions of going to Indie Untangled, but by the last time slot, there was still tickets available and they were $5. $5. So we were like, oh my God, let's just go. So we hopped in the car, drove the 6 minutes down the road, and went to Indie Untangled, which was so fun. It was nice to go to a yarn event where there was like almost no traffic. That was really fun, and a nice reprieve for the weekend. There was no one like fighting, pushing, shoving, like none of that, because it was so late in the day and everybody was just kind of like wrapping up their shopping time adventures. So it was really chill. It was very nice, still rainy and muddy, but we, like I said, we have been there in the past and we knew kind of what to expect, and it was so much fun. I was so excited to see Lamb Strings yarn and Plies and Hellhounds. They're like two of my favorite yarn dyers. I have only purchased one skein of yarn from each one of them, and I had to resist buying more this year because I have the thing with Lamb Strings and Plies and Hellhounds where the yarn is like too precious now, and I was like, you have not knit with what you got from them at the last Indie Untangled, like do not buy any more yarn. They're both like very consistent, what do I want to say, shop updaters? I don't know how to put that, but like I know that I can get their yarn online too, and the experience was definitely more for me to go like look and touch like all the colors and yarn bases and stuff like that, and their booths are just so fun to be in. So we definitely went there with the intention of seeing both of those yarn dyers, and even though I didn't end up getting anything, I just feel so inspired like seeing their work and everything. And I feel like maybe if I do some like birthday yarn treats for myself in the next couple of months, my birthday is in January, so it's gonna be time for me to buy a little bit more yarn. I have both of them in mind for like some sweaters quantities and stuff like that, you know, in my head. So it was great to see them, and I saw one booth and I ended up making a purchase totally like randomly. Like I had intentions of looking for something similar to what I'm about to show you, and I just found it and I was so taken with it. So what I did buy was a sweaters quantity, whatever, of beautiful, stunning, undyed yarn. I know you aren't here to feel it and you're probably like, okay, it's undyed yarn. However, I was looking for undyed yarn to make a sweater and maybe spin or find some other undyed yarn to make a high contrast colorwork yoke sweater, and this is the main color like all the way. So I'm very like touch feel sensitive, I guess, to wool, prickly feelings, like don't like it. I am Mary Superwash all day long, don't care. Like I just can't do like the prickly stuff, which is why I'm so drawn to plant fibers, really smooth, what do they call that, worsted spun yarns, like just things with very minimal prickle factor. I'm starting to come around, you know, a little bit here and there, but for the most part, and especially as I'm making like large investments, I want it to be like nice feeling, and this totally checked all my boxes. So I got the undyed yarn. It is a fingering weight yarn. Okay, coming back, I don't know how the editing will have been just now, but I had a thought that just struck me. So I pulled one of these skeins to talk about on the podcast. While I was checking out, the person who was ringing me out from Why Not Fibers said, you got 3 of the same skeins. One of them was just mislabeled, but they are all the same base. That's what you wanted, right? And I was like, yes, that's fine. So of course the one skein that I just read the label and started telling you about is the one that was mislabeled. So actually, depending on how much of that I cut out, scratch it, flip it, reverse it, the actual base of this is the Spark base from Why Not Fibers. and this is 530 yards of 100% sustainably raised US merino. So merino wool, so soft, so squishy. Love it, love it, love it. I was so drawn, and I bet I will not be able to show you this. No, you know what? I bet you can see that. So I was so drawn to the way that this is plied. It's just very like, it has a ton of spring to it, like a ton of memory. And it's just, I don't know. It's so, so beautiful. I love the feel of it. I love the squish factor. Like, it's just so, so nice. So this is everything that I wanted it to be, which is fantastic. Some nice undyed yarn. I hope to find, or like I said, spin a contrast color for the color work yoke. That is like the vision I'm trying to meet in my own mind. And the only thing that is holding me back, and was holding me back at the time from buying like a contrast color, is I want it to be high contrast, so like gray, black, something like really like deep or dark or whatever. I'm worried about it bleeding. If you have any like suggestions, if I knit or spin or whatever with like dyed fiber, by the time I will have washed it and stuff, like, do you think that'll get all the dye out? Like, I'm just really worried about investing all of my like heart and soul into a fingering weight colorwork sweater to have it bleed all over undyed yarn. But it seems like the undyed yarn that I'm finding in the dark colors are still like incredibly muted and just not gonna give me like the finished result I want. Do I take yarn that I like and just wash it like a bunch of times until it is for sure clear? Like, I don't know. I'm not sure what to do. I feel nervous and apprehensive, but I'm excited to knit with this yarn. I do really find myself like more drawn to like the cream color, beige, like white tones. It's crazy what a giant like throat tattoo will do for your complexion, and it seems like pretty much any color will look nice now because there's a big old honkin' tat separating that from my face. So that's helped on the color analysis front too. But I was so excited to get those from Untangled. That was something that I was, like I said, looking for the entire trip. I had intentions of getting that. If I can't get a really inspiring, confident yarn that I know will not bleed onto that yarn, like, I probably will just end up knitting a plain like undyed sweater with no color work on it, maybe do like a texture situation. I don't know, I'm not sure, but I'm happy to add that to my stash. It's really beautiful and just something like very different for me too. So that's all I got Friday. Next day was Saturday. Rhinebeck proper, the whole 9 yards. There's hooligans outside. But yeah, so we did Rhinebeck. I'm not gonna like spend a lot of time talking about Rhinebeck because I've been on YouTube in the last 2 weeks and like that's all anyone's talking about. It's a yarn festival. It is everything that it's hyped up to be. Yes, you should go if you have the opportunity. Is it an every year thing? If you don't live like a couple hours away from it, maybe not, but that's for you to decide. So just less about the Rhinebeck experience, more about all the yarn I bought. I got not a massive amount of yarn from Rhinebeck, but definitely yarn that I'm super stoked about. So I did also treat myself to another sweater's quantity of yarn, totally pivoting from my like plain undyed situation. I got this beef baby. Look at this thing. From CC's Wool. I've never bought from CC's Wool before, but I've heard of this company brand dyer from the internet and from going to Rhinebeck in years past. They remind me of a booth. If you've been to Rhinebeck, I'm sure you've encountered the Miss Babs booth, where it's like a double booth. It's huge. They have huge sweaters quantities and like large skeins bundled together. Very popular booth. Like there's a million people. You have to like fight for your life, like trying to get in and out of there. but I saw this from like outside of the booth and I was like, this is the one, this is what I wanted. So I actually had a fully completed Love Note sweater that I made a few years ago. Sock and I did a venture earlier this year to over dye sweaters that we didn't really like love that much, and we over dyed this Love Note that was pink with black dye, and it turned into this like stunning midnight blue. Oh no, I think Nate's home. Sorry, I thought Nate got home. I was nervous. Anyway, episode 1 woes. So I had gotten this essentially like brand new black sweater. It dyed up so well. It took the dye so well. There was mohair involved because it was a Love Note. The mohair like reacted perfectly to it. It was like totally unharmed and everything. And I've gotten so much wear out of this Love Note, and I've been chasing this high of the black yarn that reads as more of like a midnight blue situation, and I found it. This type of yarn is harder to find than you would think. Not this type of yarn. This type of colorway is a lot harder to find than you would think. It is like, you know, that asphalty color. It's just so beautiful. So I don't know if I envision this held with like a mohair or something, but just I love it. It was totally what I was after. It is 1,120 yards. It's fingering weight. The colorway is called After the Storm Superwash Merino. Easy peasy. What a thickie. I just love it. I'm very tempted to like undo this, but I'm not going to. But I just think it's gonna like knit up so beautifully. I'm so excited. Very excited to try this yarn. I think that, you know, all those people shoved into the booth can't be wrong. I think Cece's wool is where it's at. So I love this. I think this is gonna make a fantastic sweater. Stoked on it. And I can't remember exactly. And of course they're like, do you want a receipt? And I'm like, no, absolutely not. I do not want to be reminded of how much I spent this weekend. But I'm pretty sure that this was a more budget-friendly option in terms of like sweater quantity. I'm pretty sure, I think this was like 55 bucks roundabout. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I remember being excited about the price, whatever it was. So for 1,120 yards, it was a good deal. I will definitely visit the Cece's wool booth again if I see them in the future, because like this really appeals to me. This sort of like one massive skein, like this dye process is probably going to like yield the most consistent sweater quantity situation. And I really like that. I like the idea of just like one big giant skein of yarn for a sweater. So that was my sweaters quantity purchase. And then my only other buy from Rhinebeck, unless I'm seriously forgetting something, was one skein of this beautiful, look at this, crazy pants. So I love this color. I love like a good highlighter yellow. I want to knit a hat with this, which I think is going to be really fun. I also was really drawn to these giant like blips of this like saturation right here. There's some on the other side too. Like, look at that. So nice. I think this is gonna work up so beautifully. This is 110% going to be a ribbed hat. I have like a 2x2 rib or a 3x3 rib sort of intention for this, but definitely a hat. Super cute. The dyer yarn person, the person I bought it from is Mount Rutson Studio Yarns, and it says the base is called Henry. There we go. Okay. So Mount Rutson, here's the label. It says it's 100%, oh my God, Cheviot wool? Cheviot? I don't know. I'm so stupid. Please help me. Worsted weight yarn. It's 200 yards, so like perfect for just a quick little hat. The colorway is called Daffodil. I just love it. It's so nice. It says that it's from Rhinebeck, New York, so I don't know if they're like hyper local or like what their specific deal is, but I do know, and one of the things that like totally sold me on this purchase is that this was their last year vending at Rhinebeck. They're in one of the big barns. If you know where the really beautiful like ceramic mugs are sold, kind of like down by the base of the fairgrounds or whatever, before you head up the hill to get to the barns and stuff. They're in like that huge building that has 2 floors. And I've seen them before in there, and this is their last year of vending at Rhinebeck, so literally everything in the booth was 20% off. So I think this ended up being like 13 bucks or something. Like very, very good deal for like such gorgeous yarn. So I'm excited to knit with this. I think this is so cute. This is gonna be such a fun project. And it's very rare that the balance between like enjoyable to knit, enjoyable to wear, it's very rare that those things align in such a way. So I was like very drawn to this project. It's something I've had in my mind for a while. And then outside of Rhinebeck, there's only one more like stash thing that I want to share about because I'm just so excited about it. If you do follow Moon and Yarn Craft Room or Rainbow K-Cat, you will know that the dynamic duo, Bree and Megan, decided to do a mystery Halloween box, and they asked me if I wanted to participate in that, which I totally did. So I am actually, if this is the first time that you've ever seen my face on anything, I make and sell project bags in my Etsy store. There will be a link below. They are just like cutie pie fabric project bags, but one of my favorite parts of like my project bags, I think I would consider it like a signature move or whatever, is that all of my project bags are lined with quilt batting. So they tend to have a little bit more structure and a little bit more like oomph to them than just like a regular 2 layers of fabric bag. And Brienne and Megan asked if I wanted to sew notions pouches to be included in the mystery boxes for the Halloween things. So I just hoofed it and sewed up all these notions pouches. I think there were 20 boxes all together, and I shipped them off to them. And as soon as I sent them off, I was like, I really want a Halloween box. And I was like, no, you're going to Rhinebeck, like don't buy the Halloween box. Like I wanted everything else that was in the box, and I was like, then you're gonna like buy a pouch that you made, but there was yarn in it, and just I was like, whatever. So I wanted a Halloween box, but I was going to Rhinebeck. I didn't want to buy one, whatever. So Megan, who's a real honey and just must have had some sort of like telepathic communication with me, mailed me the yarn that she dyed for the box. So I ended up getting the yarn after all. It's well after the Halloween boxes have been distributed and everything, and everyone's received them. So here is the mini set. Look at this. The little Rainbow K-Cat Spooky Edition. So these are, it's the Electric Vintage Halloween 2023 Moon and Yarn Craft Room Halloween Mystery Box. So these are just like regular 75-25 merino nylon minis. Each one is 92 yards, a fingering weight, in these super cutie pie colors. Look at these. These are just so fun. Obviously, like I've mentioned a million times in this episode, I love scrap projects. Part of that is a very insatiable urge to collect mini skeins. I do use them. I feel really like confused by people who say I love mini skeins, but I don't know what to do with them. Like this is so inspiring to me. I just love it, love it, love it. So I was so happy that Megan mailed me a set of these. This is just like screaming to be like color work something or other. I was just talking to Sock about how I really want to make color work leg warmers. Maybe this will be it. I don't know. But I'm really stoked on this. Thank you, Megan, for mailing me these. Such a beautiful, fun, happy mail. But yeah, I just love them. So cute. And Brienne said that the Halloween boxes were such a hit, she's probably gonna continue to do them in the future. I'm not like telling you guys how to live your life or whatever, but like Megan and Brienne, if you're watching this, I would love a Valentine's box. Just saying. Also some project bags. But I think they have a really good like vision for what they're doing with these boxes and everything. And I just love, like I said, the dynamic duo of Brie and Megan is just my favorite. So I think that's it in terms of like content. The rest of this is definitely just gonna be like admin, telling you a little bit about whatever. So all of my admin stuff. The first thing that I want to say, I don't want to say it, I'm like bummed about saying it, but it's just, if you've gotten this far, you have probably guessed that the Prickly Stitch podcast, which was the podcast that I was a part of with my best friend Sock, is no more. So we are discontinuing the Prickly Stitch. If you were along for that ride, thank you so much. We really enjoyed the like community aspect of everything. We had a make along, we did the giveaway and everything, and it was just like such a blast. Unfortunately, sometimes things do not spark joy, and like that's just fine. So now you just get stinky old Haley. But I figured I wanted to make my own podcast. It's important to me to like stay in touch with everybody and everything, and I knew I was coming into a new space, and I was like inspired by having kind of this nice setup going. So I was like, I'll give it a go and see how it goes. But yeah, no more Prickly Stitch podcast. That's just fine. If you want to watch old episodes of Prickly Stitch podcast, feel free. They're going to be on YouTube. It's available. You can find us in the description box below. But that's that with the Prickly Stitch. Here I am. It's just me now. The other thing I wanted to mention, just, you know, if anyone cares, or if you want to like follow along with this strange journey I'm on, you can find me on Instagram. I have a page. Everything is just under like Lochknits, and all the links will be below. I have an Instagram, an Etsy store. I have a Facebook account. Most of what you're gonna see on Instagram and Facebook is tattoo content. I am a tattoo artist here in Wilkes-Barre in Northeast PA. If you are local or not local at all and you would like to get a tattoo from me, come get a tattoo. I am very passionate about crafting tattoos. If you want a tattoo from someone who's like been there, done that. One of my first tattoos I ever got was a yarn ball with knitting needles through it, and you would be so surprised how big, scary motorcycle tattoo dudes like don't understand what you're trying to say. So if you want a craft tattoo and don't want to have to explain what a ball of yarn looks like, send me an email. All of my booking is done digitally. It's very easy to schedule an appointment with me. And if you are traveling from a fair distance, I usually take extra time before and after the appointment to block it off so that we're not rushed or anything like that, and we can really like hang out and enjoy the day together, which is always a great time. If you are looking for available tattoo designs, you can find them and a lot of other info about how to book a tattoo appointment with me in the highlights on my Instagram. I have got a lot of Tattoo Flash to choose from. Tattoo Flash is just pre-drawn designs that are like ready to go. They're repeatable. If you want to look through all of that, that's all available on my Instagram. I also have a Facebook page that is just the same content you're going to see on Instagram if you use Facebook more. If you want to be my friend on Ravelry, I have a Ravelry account that I use. I'm very consistent with the stuff that I upload to my Ravelry account. So if there's any projects that I show on here, you can absolutely find the details for those on my Ravelry page. Every single thing that you're gonna find me on is Lochknits. I have a TikTok, whatever, like find me anywhere. If you search Lochknits and you find it, it's me. My spider lady is on everything anyway. So I do love connecting with everybody through the podcast. That's like been one of my favorite parts of podcasting for the last couple of years. So I'm excited to see where like the solo journey of everything takes me. But if you've made it this long into this video, thank you for your patience. Thanks for hanging out with me. This has been a great first episode. I actually filmed another like first episode a few weeks ago, and it took 3 hours, and none of the film was like viable because I just got so frustrated that I gave up. So happy to have made it to the end of this episode. Give me a follow on Instagram if you want to stay tuned with everything. That's it. If you want to hang for just a few more minutes, I have some more Rhinebeck content that I'm going to share here. But if you're sick of seeing Rhinebeck content by now, I get it. I kind of am too. Thanks for hanging in there. I will see you on episode 2. It would not be an episode with me if Tater, my rotten co-host, was not here to join me. So say goodbye, Tater. Bye. Good morning. It is 5:45 in the morning. I just put my eyebrows on and my suitcase is full, too full for 2 days of knitwear and rain boots. I am leaving in just a second to go to Sock's house, and she is going to be my date to Rhinebeck. So if you are interested in following along in my journey, come right along, hop in the car with us, and let's go. We decided to leave Cakepalooza. What time is it? Like 2:40? Yep. We came to the very last slot of Indie Untangled. They don't have any tote bags left, go figure. But we're hoping to find some yarn. Oh, I hear a banjo and maybe a little treat.